What's up, guys and gals? Welcome back to the Nerd Castle. Today, in the world of indie games, it's another checkup. I'm sorry, it's like super dead right now. And everything that has slid through has been like, everything new right now is kind of unappealing to me. I don't know what it is, man. Maybe I'm not getting enough sleep. Maybe I'm not getting my nutrients. But lately, well, I mean, some things seem to be turning around. Anyway, welcome to the Nerd Castle. Today, in the world of indie games, we're going to be checking back in on Stoneshard because they had a pretty big patch. Whether or not it counts as a content patch, I think, is up for debate, because technically it didn't add, like, any new monsters or anything to the game. But if you've never played Stoneshard before, it is a grimdark, open-world, medieval fantasy game that's got a setting very similar to something you would have seen in, like, Berserk. There's not a whole lot of happiness to go around in this setting. It's best described as bleak, and that makes it, like, perfect for me. I love bleak stuff. I would say that bleak is probably my favorite setting. So we're going to dive on in today. We're going to talk about the new patch and the new stuff and the new things that have been added. We're going to have a good time playing some video games. I'll introduce you to my new character. This time around, I'm playing Arna, the Hedge Knight. The Hedge Knight is actually built for two-handed counter blows at the moment. So this is kind of a low-effort build where I just like walk through the dungeon and counterattack everything to death. Not quite as active as some of the previous builds you've seen, but if after watching this you wanted to get Stoneshard for yourself, you can look down below in the description. Then of course on top of that you can take a look down there for my Discord just in case you wanted to hang out live. What am I doing right now? Well, I'm open worlding right now. So I got a job to kill a bunch of bandits. And so I need to come down inside this dungeon over here, and I need to just absolutely bludgeon the hell out of everything that gets in my way. There's our first bludgeoning target right there. Put myself into counter blow mode, and as you can see, enemies go down pretty... So, like, this build is really rad because I've got a super high chance to counter blow people. But every now and again, you get like a real streak of bad luck. Thus is the problem with RNG builds, is even if you really weigh RNG in your favor, it's only a matter of time until like 3 or 4 blows in a row don't get countered, and since that's where all my damage comes from, that's when I start to sweat and panic a little bit. And, you know, RNG, randomized numbers are streaky. That's just the way that they work, is most of the time fairly consistent. Sometimes not consistent at all. This guy is going to try to stab me with that pitchfork, so we need to get him right here. There we go. Normally, I don't particularly like to 2v1 like this. Luckily, that guy got a bleed and bled out, and then we managed to take down his friend too. But you want to use roguelike tactics in this game. So Stoneshard is not a game that's focused on like hyper-realism, but it is a game that I think draws a lot of inspiration from roguelikes and things of that nature. And so a lot of the metagame knowledge that's going to help you in a game like Caves of Qud or Cataclysm DDA or a game like Tales of Maj'Eyal is also going to help you here. That is to say, fighting 2 guys at once. It doesn't matter how much of a military badass you are by middle-aged standards. Fighting 2 guys at once is still putting you at a severe disadvantage, so you want to kind of pipeline them through choke points and whatnot if you can manage it, which is what you saw right there. So Stoneshard, what did it have added? Well, they just did what I consider to be, what I would call this is, I wouldn't call this a content patch. Instead, ooh, a vivifying essence or a vivifying essence? Nice, dude, those are pretty rare and they're pretty good too. I like them. But what I would call this is not a quality of life patch, not really a content patch. Instead, I would call this a quality of health patch, and I think that every game deserves to get one of these every now and again. What I mean by a quality of health patch is that it is a dedicated patch that's been worked on for 3 or 4 months that serves to expand certain aspects of the gameplay while simultaneously looking to fix bugs, looking to clear up the UI, looking to increase the quality of life, the variety of gameplay, that kind of stuff. And that's basically what this patch was. You're not really going to find a ton of content in this patch. The only content to be spoken of, really, is the fact that they added a new skill tree, which we can actually find right here. So the skill tree is the one thing. They added the Armored Combat skill tree, which is effectively a whole bunch of skill points and a whole bunch of passives that incentivize the wearing of heavy armor and reward the player for wearing heavy armor, wearing light armor, wearing medium armor. That is good news, though, because, I mean, you'll recall the first time we covered this game, most of these categories were missing. And now, really, the only area that's missing anything substantial is sorcery. So I'm assuming there's got to be like a wizard patch coming up pretty soon that's going to focus on just making wizards great. That's an archer right there. I don't want to deal with him at all. He's going to shoot me with an arrow. Oh, that was sneaky. You actually found an angle. Look at you, man. There we go. He closed with his melee weapon because he knew I wasn't going to let him catch me. Don't let the archers in this game. They will 100% kite you to death. Don't let them do it. This game does have survival aspects. Although I guess I'll continue talking about what I was talking. I'm getting off subject here. So the only content they really added was that skill tree right there. However, there are other things that are debatably content, like a bunch of bug fixes, making things work a little bit better. And then on top of that, they also added 60 items to the game. And in those 60 items, you'll find everything from sellable treasures that have no other function to random foods. There are new armors and uniques that have been put in the game, so things that actually have like a name. A buddy of mine actually found one. I know a streamer named Tatersloth, and he DM'd me on Twitter because I was playing this on stream for a couple days straight, and I didn't see any of the new uniques or anything, but he got one. And it was a Plague Doctor's mask that's like absurdly overpowered for dealing with gases and poisons and everything else like that. It's got a cool graphic, and so they are in there. They do exist, and so they've added some uniques and things too, along with all the bug fixes and adding new items and adding a new skill tree. So that's all good stuff right there. That guy right there is kind of a problem. So this little knife guy, he's got an ability where he forces me to swap positions with him, and it's kind of an issue because he can actually bleed me up pretty severely. And so there was the swap ability right there. He's trying to keep me back from the door. Okay, we got him, but we're bleeding pretty good. So we're going to want to leave the arena real fast, and we're going to need to wait this out. I don't think I have... Oh, I do have a bandage on me. Nice. This game does use the positional damage system that you've seen in other games, like Escape from Tarkov. You can get damage to your leg, you can get damage to your hand, you have to bandage it if you have a cut. If you get like a broken hand, you've got to use a splint on it and it will heal up. I like these kinds of healing systems. I wish more games would use these kinds of healing systems. I find them very immersive. Some other people might think that like this does nothing but add drudgery to the game, but for me it makes it a lot more fun. I can't explain to you exactly why. I enjoy specificities in my game. I like games that have layered systems of depth inside of them. I always find that I'm craving more and more complication from the things that I consume. Oh yeah, I forgot to sit around and rest for a minute. Let me sit around and rest for a minute, get my HP back before we fight the old pitchforker. Alright, the pitchforker, we're going to take him down now. 30 damage crit on the opening swing, very nice. Those knife guys are really, really, really dangerous in my experience. Like, those knife guys always make me a little tiny bit nervous whenever I have to fight them, because they are just so adept at stacking up like a bunch of bleeds to the point where you're like, they don't hit hard, but they stack up these damage over time effects that really get out of control if you don't stay on top of them. I do like how all the little knickknacks and everything are lootable in this game. Go ahead and pick the lock over here. I keep hoping that I'll end up, what is that, an antidote for poison? Might be helpful. I don't get like poison that often, but it might be a good assist. We got some earrings and things over here too. Where the boss at? Like, where's Big Boss Bandit at? Big Boss Bandit gotta get bashed. There's also a wizard over there to the right, which is the worst, dude. Wizards are rare, but a very real, tangible threat in this game. So wizardry kind of follows what you'd expect in this game from like D&D standards. Wizards start out incredibly weak and are crazy easy to annihilate when they're low level. But once they get up to like, level 5, level 6, they start to get some passives. They start to develop that spell book a little bit. They start chunking pretty good. I was hoping that I would find some food inside of here. I'm hoping I don't have to starve. Need to drag this wizard back though. Where's he at? There he is. Alright. Don't let this wizard shoot at you. I'm gonna let him catch up a little bit because I don't want him to lose me. Oh no, dude. It didn't do the door. I clicked on the door and it moved me instead. Clicking on doors in active combat is very ineffective in this game. Like, the selectivity could definitely be better. All right, we got a wizard over here. He's going to blast us a little bit. It's going to feel like we're losing, but then he's going to die instantly. That's the basic wizard template in this game, is that, like, the first couple turns, like, when you first make base contact and he opens up on you and he's, like, throwing everything he has at you, it's gonna feel a little scary. It's gonna feel a little scary. Your health bar is gonna go down, but you just gotta stay the course. That's the secret, is you just gotta stay in it to win it. A staves treatise. So all skill trees in this game are learned from books. I'm kind of like lukewarm about this system. My experience has been, so I have about 100 hours in this game. I've played it quite a bit. My experience has been on 4 or 5 playthroughs that I almost never get the books I need for the skills that I'm focusing on for the build that I want to do, and I usually end up farming dungeons a lot to get the book that I want. There are booksellers, but they're also pretty random because there's a lot of books that can be bought inside the game, and so that's what that book does. It teaches you the tier 2 abilities for a staff. I need the tier 2 or the tier 3 abilities for a two-handed sword is what I need. I've never done a two-handed build in this game. I've done sword and board. I have done spears. I've done wizardry. I've done archery. Oh, he can hit 2 tiles, huh? Look at you over here being all good at your job. How would you like to be murdered? Because I can do that for. I'll be your Huckleberry. I can make that happen real sharp, my friend. We kind of need to go back to town, and I need to offload some of this gear. Oh, yeah, they added... I forgot. They did add another bit of content to the game, too. I didn't remember till I saw these. They added salvaging and repairing to the game now, which is great. That's actually really good, because durability in this game is a massive drain on your finances, and anything that takes the edge off of durability loss, I'm fine with. I enjoy. So what we can do now is you can take these little weapon scrap parts and you can apply them to your various bits of gear. So if you've got like a bit of cloth, you can take it and apply it to your cloak. If you've got some armor scraps that are made out of leather, you can take them and you can put them on there. If you've got this right here, you can disassemble it and it will give you these, and then I can go boom, and then I can go boom, and I can make my bracers last a little tiny bit longer because they were on 1 durability. But they did add a salvage and repair system to the game, which I think is really cool and sort of implies that we may be getting closer to when crafting is going to drop, because anybody that's played this game a considerable amount will have noticed that there's things like empty flasks that you get after you drink like a beverage or after you drink something like a potion. When you eat a meal, you still have the plate and the bowl that the meal came in. It's just that those items have no use as of right now, except for their ability to be vendored for like 1 gold to the near. Wow, that guy got decimated. Dazed, reeling, about to break. I mean, he's already broken, but you get the point that I'm trying to make. I don't know if I just want to finish the dungeon while hungry. This guy's got a spear, and I hate it. That's kind of where I need him. Ow, dude, he pushed me back. That was such a clever pushback right there. That was actually like a big problem for me. And he dropped the magic spear. This game does have a Diablo-style loot system where gear can be enchanted. It can have affixes, so you can find a spear that gives you, you know, plus 10% chance to bleed and plus 4% chance to counter. Just as likely you could get one that raises your block and raises your HP. Just kind of depends. Blue is better than green, so it'll have 2 affixes. Unfortunately, magic items in this game are not super sellable. Like, they're not really worth anything unless they're really well repaired. I think I can forage a little bit of food out here, depending on my inventory space. But I don't know if it'll get me. Does rhubarb help out with your hunger? It does, and it makes you thirsty, so that might be nice. I mean, my hunger is almost maxed out, though, so I think we're going to have to go back to town. I'm undersupplied. Magic internet cut action. I've never been a big rhubarb guy. I've always felt like rhubarb is kind of like remedial strawberry. Like, why do I want this? So, like, people be like, it's a rhubarb pie. And I'm like, that's nice, but, like, why not just, like, cherry or strawberry? Both vastly superior to rhubarb, which always feels to be constantly running just kind of, like, third place to other fruits that you could possibly confection. I don't know, maybe that's just my opinion. What I have found on the internet is that there is a very staunch concordat of people that are very, very much dedicated to, I think, advancing the goals of Big Rhubarb, Big Rube, as I like to call it. I don't know if they've got them, like, on the payroll, or just if it's, like, associated with happy memories, but there is definitely a contingency of people out there that break out the pikes and the spits and, you know, try to hang you from the London Bridge if you say you're not a big rhubarb guy. Not that I'm not a big rhubarb guy, it's just that, like, rhubarb is worse than strawberry and cherry. And, like, in my family, strawberry and cherry are always available, so it's just like, well, why go for the rhubarb? You know what I mean? Like, if there was only rhubarb and that was the only dessert available, like, fair enough. I guess I'll have a slice of rhubarb pie, I guess. But, you know, it's not. As I'm walking back to our adventure location, foraging is a major part of this game, and I assume is probably going to tie in to the aforementioned crafting system that we've yet to see so far, but now that we've got the salvaging system, I'm guessing is somewhere on the horizon. You are going to want to forage while you're on the road. Little things like salmon berries, barberries, gooseberries, grapes. You can find all kinds of things on the side of the road that will actually, like, food in this game is fairly expensive. Like, when you want to buy, so I went back to town, and I'm kind of, like, balling out like a mercenary right now because I'm kind of, like, at the end of mid-game, like, headed towards endgame. I wanted to do an episode of the game where I actually have, like, a developed character that has a build and has, like, you know, what level am I right now? Level 8. And so, like, I'm not low level. This is not a starting play. This isn't really a mid-game play either, in all honesty. Kind of the end of the mid-game, I guess, is where this guy is at. But back to my original point, you are going to want to forage. Food is quite expensive in this game. It can set you back. Your average quest is going to pay you like 600 gold or 600 crowns, and buying food can be like 150 crowns. You know, that means you just spent a quarter of your money you just made that you could be spending on a new sword or new equipment or like a new thing that keeps you alive. You just spent that on just, you know, filling up a meter. If you're wandering around and you see berry bushes and stuff, absolutely. You get 4 or 5% of your hunger off of each bush. And so it's worth doing if you're trying to save your provisions. Hopefully it'll tie into the crafting system as well as time goes along, because with things like the bowls that are left over after you get done eating stuff, there's no reason for that to be a thing, except that, like, you're going to be able to take them and cook meals inside of them later on with things that you've, like, foraged from the environment. Things that you find in the environment are not limited to food either. Things you find in the environment can be various herbs that help out with poisoning or help out with drunkenness or help out with your morale. For example, you'll notice in my inventory, I've got a big pile of poppies with me. That's because one of the big balance changes they made this patch is that the pain system is much more prevalent now. Like, every time you get hit, it hurts. And you've got a pain rating. And as your pain rating goes up, you get worse and worse at fighting because you're fighting in blinding pain, basically, and it's getting difficult for you to do complex maneuvers or focus because you're hurting so much. And so I've been carrying around opium, I've been carrying around poppies, I've been carrying around all kinds of stuff in this game just to make sure that my pain never gets too high, because if it happens at the wrong time, it can absolutely end a character. We should be about done with this dungeon. I don't think this one's going to be multi-floor. It doesn't feel like it's going to be. It feels like this is one of the ones where there's just one really big floor. Is that spear okay? No, it's pretty beat up. You could tell from the graphics, so every single item in this game has like 6 stages of degradation in the little pixel art. Lots of detail in this game. That's one thing I can tell you, is these developers actively care about the level of detail in their game. Like, this game updates very, very slowly. But that being said, I'll give you some examples here. I'm gonna fall back to right here, I think. I force him to come forward. There we go. So he's gonna try to, like, tie me up inside of a net, and that's bad. Yeah, there it is right there. Hopefully, 'twill not be the end of me. There we go. We wiped them both out. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, the tremendous level of detail. I forgot about it. Like, there's these little moments in this game. So there's one part in the storyline where one of the main characters from the prologue, he arrives in a wagon at a town, and this is the only time I've seen this animation played in the entire game. They did like a 16 or 24 frame animation just for that guy climbing out of the wagon, getting down onto the ground and brushing himself off for just that one cutscene. In another scene, you have like a door gets shouldered down. This is the only time that animation is used in the entire game that I've seen so far, where somebody shoulders a door, and yet they made like a little 4 to 6 frame animation of a guy ramming his shoulder into the door to break it open. And they made a special animation for the door that made it flex inwards that you don't really see anywhere else. Like, this game, like the level of detail they're trying to imbue into it and the amount of unnecessary detail that they still go out of their way to put in it is always impressive to me. And that always makes it so that, like, even though this game has been slow when it comes to like updates and whatnot, like it takes, oh, there are multiple floors. Even though this is a game that's been taking its time, I find that the things that do come out are of such an interesting level. Oh my god, we're getting paid today. Yup, a gold ring in there? That'll be pretty valuable. Not just a gold ring, but an exquisite gold ring. Cool. And a bottle of brandy. One of my favorites. Give me that Remy Martin. Absolutely. There's nothing Splat likes better than like 10 o'clock at night, 11 o'clock at night, getting ready to wind down and go to sleep. Just go ahead and fill yourself up a couple of thumbs of brandy and like a chilled glass, and foof. Nothing hits the spot better. Remy Martin is by far my favorite. But not like the super uber expensive ones. Like, I found that with brandy, like the sweet spot is between like $20 and $40. Over that, you can't taste any difference. Under that, you can definitely tell that this is like bottom shelf. And so, like, that's like the sweet spot right there when it comes to brandy. I find the same thing like with champagne and whatnot too. When I was like getting ready for my wedding and we were doing all the tastings and everything. Same thing for champagne, dude. Like, you can buy really expensive champagne, but honestly, there's no difference. At least I did the testing, all right, and prep for getting married years and years and years ago, and I can tell you, when they're lining up the little glasses in front of you to taste different things and whatnot, just ignore it. You know what I mean? Like, the price doesn't matter. Like, liquor tries to convince you that the price matters. It doesn't. It doesn't. Past a certain point, like $20, $25, I fail to find any qualitative difference with most drinkable things. I don't know. Maybe it's super different if you're going for something like a, 40-year-old Macallan or something. I don't know. I don't drink whiskey. I'm a brandy guy. Brandy, tequila, and vodka for me personally. But for the stuff that I drink, the price doesn't really seem to matter after like 20, 25 bucks. Down into the dungeon we go. Maybe I have unrefined taste buds. I do have something to be identified. This little copper, it's a cursed copper ring. The Curse of Voracity. So your hunger drains way faster, but when you hit enemies, you drain their health. This is a New Balance thing that they've done too. Not the shoes, but the game. I've noticed that cursed items lately, I don't know if this was always a thing. Maybe I was just not paying attention, but it feels like since I came back to the game, cursed items always have like a really big upside and a really big downside, which I think actually makes the cursed items much more interesting. Usually cursed items, this is actually not a good pull for us. This could be bad. Oh, I should have pinched him at the door down there. Okay, we killed one quick. I was a little bit worried because two-handers, if they get lucky on the swipe, they can put a lot of damage downrange. And so I would prefer not to have that damage. Oh, there's a dog. No, don't do it. You're a good boy. I don't want to do this to you. Aww. Not gonna let it go. Oh yeah, they added a new change too. This is another new thing they added. If you're using edged weapons and you go to skin an animal like a wolf or like a dog or like a squirrel or something, but you hit the enemy like 12 times with a sword to kill it, the pelt will be destroyed. Another little detail they added on in. So if you're planning on developing an in-game economy that revolves you hunting and like catching animals like foxes and things and selling their hides, my suggestion to you is specialize in blunt weapons, not edged weapons. Specialize in like maces, clubs, that kind of stuff. Spears, stuff that punctures, doesn't slash. Anything like that. It says blacksmith. Are the tongs worth anything? $50? That's not bad for just like some random hardware. I can live with that. Where's my hunger at? 17%. Not quite there yet. I don't really want to use my vivifying. So these are the closest things. This is a low fantasy game. So there's like magic in it, but like magic is sort of, dude, I gotta stop. Why are there so many guys in this room, dude? I gotta stop walking into these situations. $30, big crit on the open. Good, good, good. A little worried about this fight. What did he just do to me? Initiative loss. It's a maneuver. Okay, that's fine. I thought he put some kind of curse or like, it's pink, so I thought he gave me like a smoochies on the cheek. And now I have like a forbidden love with some bandit that I met deep down beneath the soil. And when I have to kill him, it's going to become more emotionally painful and lower my morale. Those are the mechanics that I'm looking for in an RPG, right there. I like those complex mechanics. I don't rightly know if I want this net. Like, nets can be really helpful sometimes. I'm gonna stack up all of my random, like, not so valuable treasures inside of here so that I can make a better choice about what I bring out. This place is gonna despawn when we leave, but it would be nice to have the net. Just on the off chance that we come across something we can't quite handle, because death in this game is very painful. So this is going to be the main sticking point that you find for the vast majority of people in this game. Either they don't mind the save system or they hate it. This game has a very unique save system, and what I mean by that is you can only save when you sleep in this game, and you can only sleep in a tavern, or you can buy a sort of expensive item that takes up most of your inventory space that's called a bedroll. That's like a camping set, and you can use that to save when you're out in the wilderness. But this is a game that has a lot of walking. It's not uncommon for it to take you like 6 minutes to get from point A to point B to do your quest or whatever, and then spend 30 minutes going through the dungeon killing guys, and then you just catch a bad streak of crits and die, and you gotta redo the entire thing. That's the one warning that I would give to people, is that this game is focused on being kind of like hardcore. Ooh, a marble bear. It reminds me one time, my uncle, I was like 10 years old, and my uncle is always kind of like this eccentric guy, you know what I mean? He's an artist. He's always like worked in Hollywood, like on films for like set design and whatnot. Very artsy, sort of, I guess, bohemian kind of guy. And so like you never know what you're gonna get from my uncle for Christmas. And this one time, he got for my parents for Christmas, he got them this very large olivine polished kind of tumbled statue of a bull with like horns, like in like a sort of a head that was flipping upwards, like he was hitting something with it, with like giant bull. It was anatomically correct, all right. It had giant bull balls and everything on it, made out of olivine. It was like, that's what that statue reminds me of, is my uncle, and how you can never predict exactly what he's gonna bring to you for Christmas. Oh wow, there's a lot of you in here, huh? Well, Mr. Shieldy Mans is definitely aggroed. I can't say that the rest of them are aggroed, but Shieldy Man's definitely aggroed. Watch out for anybody with a sword and board in this game. Anybody that's got a one-hander and a shield is a liability. The shield and the sword, or the shield and the axe, the shield and the one-hander, they come with a lot of things that debilitate and like slow and like counterattack and stonewall and turtle while draining small amounts of health. They'll creep up on you, these sword and board guys. I mean, he's not creeping up on anybody anymore because I decapitated him, but like, be careful. Sometimes they go into like full-on defensive mode and they just start reflecting damage at you, and it becomes a problem. You will look down and your health meter will be completely and totally gone, and you will think to yourself, this is not my house. This is not my life. This is not my car. so on and so forth, and then you'll just be like, how do I get out of here? And the answer is you don't. You die, because healing potions are not a thing in this game, except for these incredibly rare vivifying essences, which give you like 35 HP back. But they're super... Oh, I'm in pain right now. I have solutions. I'm gonna go ahead and eat my poppy. Yeah, that should drag our pain down a little bit if we wait right here. Unfortunately, it's gonna make me a little bit intoxicated too, so... we may have to fight off the urge to nod off in the dungeon a little bit. But the pain system has been retooled in this patch to be much more consequential. Like, I find that it's pretty rare that I don't spend half a dungeon in searing pain. I've gone through as many as 4 or 5 poppies. I've gone through, I mean, there's basically like pipes full of illicit substances you can smoke in this game to make the pain go away. It's up to you what you want to do. I don't know if YouTube is watching my words right now to demonetize me. Like, they've got a bot that goes through and generates captions, and they also use it to make sure you're not saying no-no words and whatnot to demonetize you. And so I'm always worried about and very careful about the words I choose to use in order to describe things in games and whatnot, because, like, you know, everybody got bills, all right? That note ain't gonna wait on the 5th of the month. But as I was saying, the pain system is very consequential now. If you ignore it, you will regret it. This game is now expecting you to be prepared and to bring painkillers and things with you to fight your way out of a bad situation if you end up taking a little bit too much damage. Let's find this boss and take him down. See if we can get rid of him over here. Straw is not a valued currency for me. A silver nugget, though. Yeah, sure, why not? Any traps over here? Ugh, knife guy. I'd rather not. Luckily, I have stuff that gets rid of bleeds. Oh, he went down quick. Normally they take longer than that. Well, he must have been in the remedial class then for banditry and brigandry and knifing. Some guys just aren't cut out for stabbing a guy, man. It is what it is. Some people got that stab a guy instinct, some people don't. So many locked doors around here. Such an unfriendly place. I believe that's the boss. And he's a dagger boss, so that's a little bit of a problem. Oh, I left my net somewhere else, too. I was gonna net him. Oof. Okay, big hit right there. Oh, wizard in the back, though. Close that. Make the wizard come to me. My advice to you in this game is exploit doors like crazy. Exploit doors like an absolute maniac. Oh, good. He took a turn to heal himself. Ah! Okay. Yep. Didn't expect the ground fire to light me on fire. I've played this game for 100 hours, and I'm still learning new things. I don't know, dude. It didn't even go up to my ankles. I thought that I was good, dude. I thought that I was solid. There is a big city in this game. You will find it down here. It is called Brin. There it is right there. It's an enormous Baldur's Gate city that you can get absolutely lost in. I've been there. We're getting a little long in the tooth for the video right now. So what I'll try to do is we've got a convict's hand over here. There was more guys in this room, though. Like, many more guys. I'm in pretty good pain right now. We might want to drink the pain away real fast. Drink my mead. There we go. Big bottle of mead straight down the hatch. Drink a bottle of mead, baby. All right, we got... I don't know what a kamok is. Oh, it's a stick. Okay. Dirk. Are these dirks good, though? Knives in this game carry a weird amount of value, but only very specific knives. Like, very specific knives in this game are, like, disproportionately valuable. So, you can usually avoid just about everything knife-related, but if you see a rondelle or a brigand's blade, sometimes they're in really good shape and they'll sell for like 150 bucks when you take them back to town. I don't know if it's an oversight on the part of the developers or if it's like meant to be like that, but you can do it. I gotta fix all my gear too. I gotta find a They had an archer in here too? Man, if you walked into this room without scouting it first, you were gonna get torched. That's why I dither, man. You saw me hang out around the door and not charge into the room. I've learned that lesson too many times. Like, you never know how many bad guys are going to be in any one of these given rooms, and sometimes they get you. We want to dismantle that, and then we want to apply it to our belt, because our belt is kind of beat up right now. We've lost 25 durability in this long dungeon while we were in here. I'm going to spend a fortune fixing all my gear, I can tell. Normally, there's like a treasure chest or something inside the boss's room that has, ooh, a lettuce. Yeah, I'll take that stuff for the road. We killed our guy. We got our bounty, so let's go back to town, and I'll turn it in, we'll get paid, and then I'll take you over to Brin so that you can see what the big city looks like. Because the big city is kind of where you're at the entrance to endgame, and things start to get, like, really interesting. So this is the outer vestibule of, like, Brin, which is the big city that they added a couple patches ago. I don't know if you guys have seen it yet, but when Brin initially came out, there wasn't really anything inside of it except for a couple of vendors. Now, Brin has all kinds of things going on. There's intrigue, there's little quests around here, there's people you can talk to, there's, like, political stuff happening, there's things like intrigue happening in between humans and elves, which are these guys over here, all kinds of good stuff. By and large, I've really enjoyed my time in Stoneshard coming back to it. I think the game is making real, tangible, interesting progress. Would I like it to be faster? Absolutely, but at the same time, there's no accounting for, like, the quality of the animations and whatnot that they've put into the pixel art of this game, so I understand it takes a while to get things implemented. Still, from my corner of the field, what do I think the weaknesses of this playthrough were? Because, you know, people always want my impressions of stuff. I'll throw it out there. Two things were kind of obvious to me on this, which is probably my fourth playthrough, my fourth or fifth different build that I've done since Brin came out. My observations are more variety. So first and foremost, there's only like 3 types of enemies in this game. There's vampires, there's bandits, and there are the undead. That's about all you're gonna run into aside from wildlife inside of dungeons. I think another 1 or 2 factions would help out with making that feel a bit fresh. I also think that some of the quests should not necessarily be just go kill stuff. I think they should add in some package delivery quests where you're just like moving things around. I think they should have like quests where, you know, you're hanging out with a caravan that's going in between towns and maybe it gets attacked, maybe it doesn't, but as a caravan guard, you know, you can invest in the caravan and get like 5, 10, 15% of the profits when it arrives. Just things to diversify the quest taking, because right now every quest in the game is like, just go kill a guy. That's about it. I'd like to see that varied up to like at least the amount of variety that like Battle Brothers has. And then the other part is the map is tremendously kind of empty. Like there's these little points of interest, but I've gone to a lot of them and usually it's just like a wrecked cart or like a bandit camp. I would love to see these sort of BioWared, I guess. But not like modern BioWare, like BioWare from like 2004. I would like to see these be little locations where you meet individuals and interesting people, and they give you quests you can't get anywhere else, or you meet them and then they get added into local towns as like a vendor if you help them out. Things of that nature. There are some interesting things that can happen in the game. For example, there's a kidnapping quest that sometimes comes up that you need to resolve, where actual vendors from inside the town get kidnapped and put in jail cells. And, like, you got to go down in the bandit lair and help them. And when you help them, like, they'll either give you a discount or they will give you some kind of really cool, like, limited item you can't get any other way. I really liked that. That's rad. But, yeah, those are the 2 things I noticed, is that I think it's about time to start populating the world and making it feel a bit more alive out in the wilderness. And then it may be time to add a couple more enemy factions and a couple more quest varieties as well. That was just to my eye. But other than that, everything else is rad as hell. This is Stoneshard. I'm Splattercat. I'll catch y'all tomorrow with something hot and fresh off the indie skillet. But for now, it's time to go. If you haven't played in a little while, it might be time to check back on in because they just rolled out the equipment patch, which added 60 new items to the game, rebalanced the economy, changed around a whole bunch of the functions, and made morale, and made pain, and made your psyche, like your sanity, actually matter. So those things are actually like heavy hitters now that you need to maintain on top of being a top class warrior. Cool stuff. We'll keep checking in on it. I'll see you next time. Bye, folks.